Welcome back to A Hill with a View. My name is Moshe Hill. I am your host of A Hill with a View. And I just want to make sure that if you're starting this show right now, you got to like and subscribe, all right? We need those subscriber numbers to bump way up. You can subscribe on Spotify, on iTunes, and on YouTube, all right? And I'm going to focus on YouTube today because something interesting happened after my last video. Put out a video last week, and, they say one of the major concerns about starting these channels and doing these things is you can get audience captured. You have a thought process, and then you see what your audience likes and dislikes, and you change your mind based on it, and you can get captured by the audience. And I gotta say, I got captured. I got captured by the Groypers. The Groypers, they really left some amazing comments on my YouTube page. And that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to go through those comments on my YouTube page. So I hope that all of you subscribe. You obviously love this content. You love to hear about it. I'm real America first guy, because I'm the real America first guy. Obviously everyone you listen to, the America fakes, the Nick Fuentes and the Candace Owens and all those America fake people, they are not America first. There's nothing America first about them. They don't put America before anything, especially not before themselves. So a guy like me, a real America first guy, this is what you're tuning into. You want to see what it's like. You want to peek under the hood, and I'm here for it, all right? So let's get going. Now, I want to reiterate something because people seem to not understand what it means to advocate on behalf of Israel as an American, okay? So there are two kinds of people that advocate the American government for Israel. All right, there are two kinds of people. The people who are pro-Israel, who love Israel, really want America to have a good connection with Israel. That's very important. That's a guy like me. I think it's incredibly important. So what I do is I lobby the American government. I've gone on many trips. I've spoken to many members of Congress. I've done these kind of things. I make videos about it. I try to make sure that American foreign policy is allied with Israel. I think there are very great reasons for doing this, and I'd love to get into that. I love to talk about that and say why it's so important for the American people to be with Israel, okay? And why there's a great dynamic with the two relationship. And I have many reasons, one of which is I'm Jewish. I love Israel because of my Jewish heritage. I also have a lot of family in Israel, and I spent a year in Israel. I love Israel very, very much. The other kind of people who lobby the American government regarding Israel, they try to change Israeli policy via American government interventionism. And for that, I'm looking at the pro-Palestinian side, the J Street side. They try to change Israeli policy. Chuck Schumer went on the floor of the Senate and tried to call for new elections in Israel. That is not America first. And that has nothing to do with America. So there's one thing, which is America has a lot of policies. They have domestic policies and foreign policies. And I'm trying to advocate for a certain foreign policy of America. And the other people are trying to say that what America's foreign policy should be is to try and influence what happens in Israel and influence their policy. So that's not what I do. All right. So it's very important to have that distinction, because that distinction really some people get confused about that kind of thing. Now then there's the other side, which is people claim that Israeli policy influences America. So that's the side that I'm talking to right now. So that's the Groyper side. The Groyper side is that Israel influences America unduly. Okay. So just for that, I made a little graphic, very low tech, very low end. I did it in Word, actually. So they're talking a lot about how much money we send to Israel, America sends to Israel. Now, I explained in my last video that the money we send to Israel is the equivalent of a 10% discount to a really good customer. Israel buys around $30 to $40 billion worth of American military tech every single year. They buy our equipment. We manufacture equipment. That's if you have a problem with the manufacturing of military equipment, then that your gripe is not with Israel. It's with a lot of different things, just the way we've been doing things ever since World War II. We really don't want to have another world war, so we need to be the biggest guy in the block. Nothing really that crazy or shocking about that. There's nothing new about that. And Israel buys a lot of the tech equipment in exchange, and all the money that we send to Israel actually has to be spent in America. So not all of it. 3.3 billion of the 3.8 billion has to be spent in America. The other is for Iron Dome missile technology, which they share with America, and that's how Trump is actually making the Golden Dome based on that Iron Dome missile technology. So they field test that defensive missile technology, something that we thankfully have never had to do in America. They've had to do it, unfortunately, because they have had rockets fired at them for many, many years. And they've created this incredible technology with our help in conjunction with America. So that's the 500 million. 3.3 billion is money that's spent in the United States. Okay. So, but I wanted to show you because there's something really crazy going on here. This happens a lot. So people think that we're spending all this money. So the U.S. government spends $6.9 trillion a year. So trillion is 1,000 billion. So I decided to make each one of these little dollar signs over here. I know, a dollar sign. Ooh, dollar signs. Each one of these little dollar sign over here is worth $1 billion. Okay. So I made it small enough. So fits 6,900 dollar signs on here. Okay. So let's zoom out a little bit so we can see it. Okay. So let's say tomorrow we get rid of aid to Israel. All right. Let's zoom out a little more. I want to see if we can fit all this on one screen. Okay. So we get rid of all the aid to Israel tomorrow. Let's keep going. Back. Beautiful. There it is. All right. So let's round up. 3.8 billion. Let's round up to 4. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your U.S. budget. Did it really make a difference? I mean, people are going to comment, oh, yeah, that makes a huge difference. Huge difference. Nope, that did not make a difference. And now what are you giving up? Well, you're giving up how much to the GDP? Okay? You're giving up, let's see, $30 billion. Because if they're not buying their equipment from us, they're buying it from someone else. So you're giving up something because that is what Israel is going to do. They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to buy it. And it may not happen overnight. It may not happen in a year or 2 years, but they'll shop around. There are other countries that make weapons that would be happy to take Israel's money, no matter what they vote on in the UN. Okay? Speaking of the UN, that's another thing. Hilariously, the Groypers like to be edgelords. They like to be, cutting edge on saying the most ridiculous things about the Holocaust and Hitler and all these different things. And, a lot of people are poo-pooing it away, saying, oh, they don't really mean it. I mean, I'm sure plenty of them do mean it. And they poo-poo it away and they say, they really don't care about this stuff. They just want to be edgy. Let me tell you something. The least edgy thing in the world is to be anti-Jewish, okay, and anti-Israel. That is literally the most common thing in the history of the world. And you have more in common with the establishment, with every country in Europe, not just in Asia and Africa and every single other place. You're not edgy. You are conforming, actually. You're a conformist if you are anti-Israel. To be edgy, you got to do the thing that I'm doing right now and to actually say that there's value in the U.S.-Israel relationship. So that's the edgy thing. And I think that the comments that I saw on my page actually attest to that. So we're going to go to those in a second. The UN, there's a joke that is actually, I think, Israeli Prime Minister made that if the Earth if the UN made a declaration that the Earth was flat and that Israel flattened it, it would pass like 150 to 6 with 17 abstaining. Like you're siding with the entire United Nations. And then you're talking about in America, so you're siding with every single college campus, every single member of academia, many businesses, most of Hollywood. Oh, Hollywood controlled by Jews? Really? Have you seen how much pro-Israel stuff have you seen at any award show for the past 2 years? And how much anti-Israel stuff? Look at any award show since October 7th. How many yellow ribbons did you see versus how many red hands? And it's controlled by Jews? Come on. You guys are the conformists here. You're not going against the grain. You're not the rebels that you think you are. Okay, so let's go through these comments. They were interesting to say the least. Let me tell you, a lot of people like to point out how small my channel is and how little I've done. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it was literally my first episode. I have very few followers right now. Hopefully that grows. This is how you grow things. But for an account with a couple dozen followers, 64 followers I checked, I got almost 1,000 views on this video and hundreds of comments. I'm obviously not going to go through all of them. I'll have to pick and choose based on what I think is worthy of responding to. I sorted it by newest. So let's take a look at the comments, okay? So first one, Beta Zionists. That's me, Beta Zionist, I guess. Okay. Thinks he holds a moral high ground labeling white nationalists America first. There is nothing else. Okay. So there is nothing America first about picking one country of all the countries. See, there's a difference between the Nick Fuentes and the Matt Walsh take on this, for example. I mean, there's a lot of difference between the two. Matt Walsh on the Daily Wire, he works for a Jew. Oh, my God. Matt Walsh is against all foreign aid, and he talks about it openly. And the weird thing is, every single time he says I'm against all foreign aid, he always gets these comments that say, what about Israel? What about Israel? And he's like, I said all foreign aid. Like, he's against all of it, and he's consistent with that. But what these America First people do, heavy on the air quotes, because they're not America First, they're fake America First. They're like, literally, there's nothing America First about them. Nothing. You typing something into X is not America First. You proclaiming is not America First. Let's see you on the campaign trail. Let's see you knock on doors. Let's see you stand at train stations. I've said this before. I've gone up to Albany to lobby my state senate and state assembly on education, on education in my state, on what to do there. I've gone to local library meetings to talk about getting rid of COVID masks. I did that in 2022 because they were still requiring COVID masks, and I got people together. And you say, "Oh, I'm against COVID," and Fauci lied to me. Fauci lied. And did you do anything? What did you do? I almost got fired from my job because I refused to wear a mask on my job in New York City. I was working in New York City at a place, and I refused to do it. I almost got fired for that. There's a lot that has happened, and you don't do anything. Posting is not America First. Do something. Do something, okay? So America First, there is nothing else. And advocating for a foreign policy along with all the domestic policies that I advocate for, nothing wrong with that either. This person wrote a bunch, so let's start. Let's go back a little bit. 921, love all the random out-of-context clips, classic Zionist move. Oh, yeah, that's the clips of different pro-Palestinian stuff. No, really out of context. The context gave the context. That's weird. 1018 true, but Nick is very known for hyperbole. He obviously means that support for Israel first is dying. Okay. 1109, I'm going to pray for you because what? Look at Nick is literally Catholic, bro. That's why he's against the genocide of an entire region. Okay. Let's see. How much has he talking about genocide, actual genocide in Africa? Because there was no genocide in Gaza. There's literally no evidence. And when I say evidence, I mean actual evidence. I'm not talking about people just saying things. I'm not just talking about people changing the definitions of terms to make it fit. I'm talking about actual evidence. All right. That is, let's see, 1109. If you don't know much about Christianity, I do not. I do not know much about Christianity. Then maybe shut up because you clearly have no idea what true Christianity is. I mean, guilty as charged. I don't know what true Christianity is. Let's see. Here we go. Let me help you out. The problem with you Israel First people is that when time comes when us Americans run out of taxpayer money, America is approaching $38 trillion debts, mostly due to Israel wars in the Middle East, and we can't even pay the interest on that debt. The question becomes, why are our children born into a slave world mainly devoted to funding Israel's wars rather than focusing on our own country? If Israel wants that land, then I don't have a problem with that, but I refuse to pay for it now. And let me warn you that America First comprises both left, middle, and right. We are the majority and will rise up and refuse any candidate who take AIPAC money or want to send money to Israel and, frankly, most of the surrounding Middle Eastern countries. We will take our job back from China and India also. Enough is America. Enough is enough. America First, period. All right. Zip 5807. Interesting. I mean, there's a lot of wrong information in there. You've been lied to. So assuming that you believe this, which I'm assuming you do, and I'm assuming that you heard it from somebody, which I'm assuming you did, you were lied to. Israel, I'm assuming when you say, I have to make a lot of assumptions because I'm reading this stuff. I'm assuming that when you say that America's approaching $38 trillion of debt, mostly due to Israel wars in the Middle East, you're referring to Afghanistan and Iraq, not Israel's wars. Those are America's wars. Afghanistan as a result of 9/11, Iraq as a result of shady, false, and questionable information that came around based on, and also United Nations stuff. Those wars, last I checked, hit around $8 trillion total. So those were not Israel's wars. Nothing to do with Israel. Israel didn't want them in there. Maybe if you're referring to Iran, that was literally just one bombing run, not really causing the debt. The real causes of our debt, by far, are the entitlement programs. Welfare entitlement, Social Security, Ponzi scheme entitlement, all those entitlements. Those are really the causes, drivers of our debt. So as I showed you before, $3.8 billion in whereas $3.3 billion of those dollars actually come back and are spent in America. So essentially, the most you can claim that America sends Israel a year is $500 million, and that's for a vital military technology that America is very interested in. So in terms of percentage of our budget, it's 0.08%, something like that. And in terms of foreign aid sent, non-USAID aid, Israel comprises of maybe 7 or 8%. It's definitely one of the larger ones, but we actually have more collaboration with Israel than we do with any other country that we give aid to. So once again, if you have a problem with all aid, then say you have a problem with all aid. The problem is that you claim that Israel is the issue. So that's where somebody like me gets a little defensive, let's say, where we're saying to you, why are you singling out? What's the double standard here? So if you have no double standard, if your standard is no aid, then state your standard as no aid. But that's not your standard. Your standard is literally just no aid to Israel. That's your standard. Okay, and then there's the whole thing about AIPAC. Yeah. So regarding AIPAC, all right, I looked this up before. AIPAC spent a lot of money. I'm not going to deny that. That'd be crazy to deny it. It's literally go to opensecrets.org. They spent a lot of money. They spent around $50 million in getting their preferred candidates elected. Compared to how much money is spent on an election cycle, so $50 million, in the 2024 election cycle, of which AIPAC spent around $50 million, the amount of money spent during that cycle was almost $16 billion. So you're talking about a very, very small percentage. Now, just like, and I've said this many times, just like when it comes to NRA, what the left claims about the NRA, they say that the NRA buys politicians and the NRA owes Washington. What is more likely? Is it more likely that there are already pro Second Amendment candidates that the NRA supports, or that somebody is anti-Second Amendment and the NRA pays them off to switch their positions? What is more likely? Obviously the first one. And the same is true with Israel. There are plenty of people out there who are informed, who know what they're talking about, who understand the value of the Israel relationship, the America-Israel relationship, and they are running for Congress all over the place, in every single race. And a lot of Democrats, a lot of Republicans, every single race has a person who is more warm to the Israel relationship and less warm to the Israel relationship. And if they're looking for funding, which everyone is in every single race all around the country, AIPAC will throw you a check for $5,000. And because they want those people in Congress, because they want people who will advocate for a strong U.S.-Israel relationship. Now, I have my problems with AIPAC personally because I actually don't like their policies. I think they're actually too nonpartisan, and I think that they side too much with the left. So that's my own personal issue with AIPAC. But the idea that AIPAC owns Congress, nobody is making these decisions or these calls based on their money from AIPAC. Just like the people who are making decisions on gun control laws are doing it based on money from the NRA. It's the same thing that happens with the teachers' unions and all the unions, all the public sector unions who throw money behind candidates. They throw money, and they only throw to Democrats. They never throw to Republicans. But just like the NRA only throws to Republicans. That's just the nature of politics. Everyone backs the candidate that already supports them. Now, if you don't want people lobbying Congress and the federal government, then you should advocate for a smaller federal government. That's the only thing you can advocate for. But as long as the federal government's ginormous, then they're going to keep it going. All right. So Candace Nick Fuentes campaigned for multiple Republicans over the years. Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk campaigned for Trump, and he credits Charlie with his win. Okay, so Charlie Kirk was very pro-Israel, so I'm obviously not talking about him. Candace Owens campaigned for Trump. Nick Fuentes campaigned for multiple Republicans. I even literally no idea who allowed Nick Fuentes to campaign for him. But I wasn't even talking about Nick Fuentes. I was talking about literally everybody. I was talking about Nick Fuentes because I think he's a liar and a grifter, and I think he doesn't actually do anything. He just sits on his TV all day. But sure, let's just say he campaigned for several Republicans. Fine. What are you doing? Everybody should be campaigning for Republicans. What are you talking about? I'm not just talking about the top level personalities. I never included Charlie Kirk in this. Charlie Kirk wasn't a Groyper. The Groypers hated Charlie Kirk. There was a whole thing in 2019. Nick Fuentes hated Charlie Kirk. And Candace Owens went nuts. Who are you trying to convince besides genocidal Netanyahu? Do you think Netanyahu watches my show? That'd be amazing. That'd be so cool. I would love that. Man, this person really watched the episode. First of all, Heaven Born Brat, thank you for watching. I mean, you really went to town with the timestamps and everything, really trying to knock me off my game. Very interesting. Please explain to me what conservative ideology is the support of mass murder of women and children. No, it's not. Cool. Good thing that's not what I'm advocating for, even a little bit. America first means we need to focus on U.S. and not foreign policy. So you do realize that foreign policy has to exist, though, right? Like, there has to be some foreign policy. NORPAC is a nonpartisan political action committee based in England, Clifton, New Jersey, with the goal of supporting U.S. candidates to demonstrate strength and security and survival of Israel. Yes, that is true. That's why I go on it every year, because I love it. Let's skip this person now. This is the worst display. Don't wing it next time. Yes, I do need to practice my elocution. I really got to do better at that. $7,000 club. I wish. That'd be amazing. The comments don't disappoint. Otherwise, your show will go nowhere because no one with a brain agrees with you. Listen, I fully expect this show to have 20 views this time. I would love it if you guys stuck around and kept talking. Who is this alien Jew presenting himself as American? Hi, my name is Moshe Hill. I was born and raised in New York. Don't know what really is alien about me, but I'm pretty sure I'm American. Last I checked. 7,000. And I think it's only worth 3,500. Got to lie a little harder for the 7,000. Yes, I do. Can't wait to get that $7,000. Israel, please send me money. I'm doing this for free. I'll take it. A hill with a view is a pretty good play on words for your name. That's right. It is. But also a clear reference to a legal settlement and outpost in the West Bank that also sits on hills. How ironic. I literally never thought of that. And first of all, it's called Judea and Samaria, the West Bank. I don't like to give Jordan credit for that. Maybe it was called the West Bank when they controlled it between 1948 and 1967. That 19 years, that people kind of forget about, that Jordan annexed that area and it was Jordanian territory. And what did they do with the Palestinians that were living in there? Literally nothing. They never made a Palestinian state over there, even though the PLO was founded in 1964 with the express determination to create a Palestinian state. They didn't go to Jordan and say, give us that state. Nope, they never did that. So the quote-unquote West Bank was conquered in the Six-Day War in 1967, and it is called Judea and Samaria ever since. But it was never annexed by Israel. It's not Israeli territory, but it was annexed by Jordan, and it was Jordanian territory. And they never settled those Palestinians. They've been refugees. Literally, there's never been refugees in the history of the world that have been around for 4 generations. 4 generations refugees. Incredible. It's okay, sir. You are not the only one being dropped on the head as toddler. As a toddler? I hope you find that comforting. I do. One-sided relationship will eventually collapse. It is not a one-sided relationship. It is very much a two-way street between America and Israel. And everyone knows it, except for people who are lied to on the internet. Everyone who is in Congress knows it. Everyone in the military knows it. Every president knows it. They know it's a two-way relationship. They know it's a two-way street. That's why they fight for it, because I'm not saying America would collapse without Israel, and I'm also not saying Israel will collapse without America. I'm saying it's a mutually beneficial relationship. American taxpayer sends billion to Israel. Okay, I've already covered this. Israel provides free healthcare and education that most Americans lack. So this is the weird thing. So I don't understand why right-wingers are shilling for Obamacare 2.0 when they talk about Israel. The Israeli healthcare system is vastly different than the American healthcare system. It's also, there's like a basic entry. I've a lot of family in Israel. I've talked to them about their healthcare system. None of them like it. Just like we don't like our healthcare system in America. Because guess what? Creating good healthcare anywhere in the world is actually really, really difficult. And people are lying to you all the time when they say there's an easy solution. Stop sending money to Israel and we'll have good healthcare in America. Do you know how much money we spend on healthcare in America? It's a lot of our budget. While Israel is a tiny, minuscule, less than a percent, the amount of money we spend on healthcare in America is literally hundreds of billions of dollars a year. The $3.8 billion you're saying to Israel is not doing it. And so in Israel, the healthcare system is basically, they have a base plan which covers nothing. It's basically emergency room visits, which is what we have here. And then you have to pay for supplemental insurance. So if these billions truly improve American lives, show the evidence. Yes, I will happily show the evidence on how it improves American lives. So let's see here. Let's just say a lot of places, a lot of counties around the country, most of their local GDP, most of their local money comes from weapons manufacturing. So I looked it up over here. Weapons and military equipment for Israel are manufactured by various defense contractors across the United States. While comprehensive single-source list of every county is not publicly available, specific facility location have been identified in the following counties for major weapon system and components. So we got Arizona, Pima County, Maricopa County, Connecticut, Florida, Massachusetts, Missouri, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas. All these places make weapons. Big military contractors. So Israel basically spending $30 billion all around those counties. That's a tangible benefit for Americans. That's day to day. Then there's the, more obscure indirect benefit to Americans in terms of, I know people don't care about, military intelligence or testing our military equipment overseas because they don't think our military should be overseas. It should only be over here or whatever. But those are tangible benefits. You can't ignore that. You took the $7,000. Once again, I wish more propaganda, debate Nick Fuentes. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. I mean, I don't know if I physically could. I feel like I would vomit. I don't know if I physically could debate Nick Fuentes. I feel like I would vomit. But that guy has millions of viewers. So I don't know why he would debate me. That'd be odd. It's always them. I'm assuming they mean Jews. So yeah. Let's see. Are you getting 7,000? Once again, the 7,000. I love the 7,000. I wish I had the 7,000. Tell us about the Talmud and its love of Jesus. By Americans First. Tell us about the Talmud and its love of Jesus. The Talmud did not love Jesus. Jesus was what's the word in Hebrew, in English? He was basically somebody who rejected the teachings of Judaism. That's a lot of people. So you didn't debunk anything. Okay. Stop trying to defend genocide. That's enough Kool-Aid for one night. This Jew. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Saddam Hussein fired rockets at Israel. Yes. During the first Gulf War, that happened a lot. Every single Israeli had a gas mask in their home. I know many Israelis who still have their gas masks. They were distributed by the government, the Israeli government, and Saddam Hussein fired Qassam rockets at Israel. Yep, that happened. Do you not know that? That's weird that you're commenting so much. You're buying weapons to kill people in the Middle East with money that we Americans gave you to begin with, and I use the term "gave" very loosely. I don't know what that means. Let's see. All right, let's skip this guy. Here we go. So funny. According to Thomas Massey, every member of Congress has an AIPAC handler. Every member of Congress is an AIPAC handler. If AIPAC knows what they're doing, they should have one employee of theirs talk to multiple members of Congress. It would be very inefficient to have every member of Congress have a specific person. I'm sure Planned Parenthood, their outreach also has specific people who speak to every single member of the Democratic caucus. I'm assuming they're ignoring the Republicans at this point. I'm assuming the NRA does the same thing. Every lobbying organization has people who communicate with government officials. How do you think lobbying works? I don't understand. Wow, you spent money to go to the inauguration of Trump. Wow, dude, that's so cool. It was cool, except for they moved it inside and I missed it, which stinks. But I still went because I already had my, hotel room and stuff. Spend $6 million. $6 million? It would have been impossible to process that many, let alone 280K. Oh, is this like a vaguely defined Holocaust joke? Okay. Did this dude actually just excuse the genocide in Gaza? No, because there was no genocide in Gaza. He basically saying that Gaza is testing field for advanced weapons. I mean, they wouldn't need to be if they didn't attack Israel. And same thing with every single country that has attacked Israel so many times. They wouldn't need to be. That's like saying that if Mexico attacked America and America used its weapons and then figured out how its weapons could be more efficient during a Mexican-American fictional war, that Mexico is the testing ground. Well, they didn't need to attack in the first place, so you wouldn't have to be the testing ground. So Israel is spending billions of dollars on money on weapons, buying them from America with the money that America has given them? Yes. It's like a discount. I don't know. Do you ever like shop anywhere? Have you ever been like a good enough customer that you got like a discount at like a local store? Like, oh yeah, you're a good customer, so you'll get like 10% off. Has that never happened to you? That's literally what it is. All right, let's skip this guy. Israel has lied the United States into every interventionist war in the Middle East and North Africa in the last 25 years. Nope, they haven't. So whoever told you that's lying to you. How does it make America stronger? How is it benefiting future generation Americans? How is capitulating to the little mafia country made the United States wealthier, more prosperous, and hopeful for the future? None of these are rhetorical questions. Okay, well, I mean, the premise of your comment is incorrect, so it's kind of hard to answer it. Israel has not led America into every interventionist war. So I cannot claim that it made America stronger because it didn't happen. How is this benefiting future generations of Americans? I cannot claim that it benefits future generations of Americans because it never happened. How is capitulating the little mafia country made the United States? I don't know how it's a mafia country. Wealthier, more prosperous, and hopeful for the future. And none of these are rhetorical questions. Well, the United States, I mean, listen, if you want to say that correlation equals causation, like, it's in the Middle East, so Israel must have led America into it because it's there, then America has gotten wealthier and more prosperous in the last 25 years if you base it on the stock market. So I guess it worked, right? Because correlation equals causation. So let's just say it worked. No one dislikes the Jews. Oh, false. We aren't even necessarily saying that the Israeli government is inherently problematic. It is, though, is currently incredibly problematic, especially if you were born in an Arab nation. Well, Israel's making peace treaties with Arab nations left and right at all times at this point. So that's not true. What we don't like is your allegiance to a nation that you don't even live in. I don't have allegiance to that nation, but I think the premise is that if there was some kind of war between America and Israel, you'd have to round me up and everyone who's been pro-Israel and assuming all the Jews into some kind of Japanese internment camp situation. So that's really the only type of allegiance. Asking my country to have a good foreign policy with another country and me having connections to that country, that's not allegiance. That's not what allegiance is. That's like saying that you have allegiance to Texas because as opposed to wherever state you're from, because you advocate for a strong southern border. That's not what that is. Let's see. You don't even live in. We don't like this. That said nation has effectively lobbied, blackmailed its way into the halls of our government. Lobbying and blackmail are very different things. One is very legal and one is very not. The fact that you're unwilling to admit that and that you don't see it as problematic is the very thing giving rise to this movement. I have no problem with you being Jewish. I'm thankful for how God chose the Jewish people in the history of redemption. But all that has absolutely nothing to do with the modern state named Israel that is everything but Jewish. Well, I could tell you from experience, Israel is very Jewish. And you want to talk about biblical Judea versus modern state of Israel, you have more in common with the Hasidic right wing, the Satmar Neturei Karta right wing, which is against the modern state of Israel, as opposed to what they want is for the Messiah to come and then that to be the state of Israel. But it actually, there's a lot about Israel that is Jewish, and I'm going really long with this video, so I'm gonna cut it there. Hopefully I'll get another one later this week because there's so many great comments. Yeah, and please keep commenting. It gives me plenty of content to talk about. And I'm actually curious if anyone stuck around this long on the Groyper side, if they're actually interested in maybe having their minds changed or maybe discussing these ideas and not just regurgitating the lies that they're told. It would be interesting. I would love to see it. So since this has been going on way too long, I'm going to end with this. Israel is very Jewish. Israel is so Jewish that we have actually 613 commandments that around half of them can't be done unless you're in Israel. They are only associated with Israel. I can't do half of the commandments that are given to the Jewish people because they're only associated with Israel. I pray 3 times a day towards Jerusalem, towards Israel. For thousands of years, my people have said, we want to go back to Israel. I mean, claiming that Israel is not, maybe you're talking about the modern state of Israel, so you want the modern state to be more religious? Is that what you're saying? Because I agree with you. I would love if the modern state of Israel was more religious. I would love if nobody drove on Sabbath over there. That'd be amazing. I would love if every single place I walk into had the level of kosher adherence that I stick to. I actually can't eat anywhere in Israel, or everywhere. I could eat a lot of places, but it's very different. All right, this was fun. I want to come back and do this again. I'm not going to talk about Israel every single time because this is a hill with a view. This is not my platform to just talk about Israel. I want to talk about a lot of different topics. So this is probably unless something big happens in the news, and maybe I probably won't do the next one about Israel. But, this was fun. Let's see if we could do this again. Like and subscribe to Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button, share it with a friend, pass it around. Let's grow these channels. Let's keep this going. And Groypers, keep on commenting because it's very entertaining, and you haven't really said anything too crazy yet. I guess I thought would go a little crazier. Saying that I got money that I didn't get. That's not that good. You can keep it going. Keep it going. All right. Thank you very much. Make sure to subscribe, share with a friend.